up, Facebook?
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Get Real with Real Estate. Thanks for joining us today.
Yep, so today we're going to be talking about some other different investment opportunities that real estate allows. I think the last episode we chatted about Melissa, her first house, renting out some of the extra bedrooms, to supplement her income and offset her mortgage. But this episode is going to be about out-of-state investments and, what that looks like in real estate and, how that can be an awesome addition to your portfolio if you're open to it.
Yeah, so passive income. Who knows what passive income is? If you do, put a 1 in the box. Because passive income is much different than active income. So active income, you're going to your job, you're performing as a landlord, you're actively working for the money. Passive income is money that works for you while you're sleeping. And our Tennessee properties are a perfect example of passive income because they take no attention from us on a monthly basis.
Well, very, very little attention.
Hopefully no attention from us monthly. It quite literally, ideally, takes no attention because if we are putting any attention towards it, it usually means that we're doing work to a property or getting a new tenant or something. So ideally, it's our money working for me while we sleep.
Yeah. So, in real estate, a lot of times, some people think like they might be doing passive, but if you're, for instance, like managing the property yourself, it's probably more of an active thing. If the tenant's calling you up to fix the toilet when it's overflowing or the roof's leaking or this or that, that's really much more of an active role that you're playing. Which that can be great as well too. Like that's not, that works for some people.
Absolutely. When we meet with clients initially, we usually ask them when they're interested in investing. We usually ask them, "What are you excited about? Do you want to be an investor or a landlord?" Because those are two very different things. The landlord is an active income. A investor, that's a passive income.
Yeah. So us personally, we did not want to be a landlord. Like I don't want to be getting the call at midnight. Hey, my toilet's overflowing, and then you got to scramble to figure out how to do that. That wasn't our interest. But like I said, it is for some.
Yeah, and when purchasing out of state, I would say it's really difficult to manage that on your own. It would be next to impossible for John and I to scramble in the middle of the night and get our handyman over to there and all those things. That's why.
Yeah. So her jumping ahead a little bit, like out of state is very hard to do active. And because we knew we didn't want to do active, that opened up the opportunities for out-of-area investments. Mm-hmm. So here in San Diego, as I'm sure many of you know, it's a high-priced market. It's one of the higher-priced markets in the United States. Right there behind, you got like San Fran, LA, New York, all that stuff. So it can be very difficult to purchase a home here in San Diego. However, there are many other markets across the country where homes are more affordable, where you can find a home for under $100,000.
Yeah.
And that's, with us wanting to take more of the investor role, we looked at opportunities like that.
Yeah, so absolutely. So when we moved to San Diego and had sold my house in Buffalo, we had a little bit of a nest egg. And it was quite literally enough to buy a very small single-family home here in San Diego or 3 to 4 investment properties out of state. So we started to explore our options out of state. And what we did was, the most important aspect for us was a solid, on-point, awesome property manager. Because we knew if we couldn't rely on the property manager, that our investment likely would, go to crap and probably end up not serving us in the best capacity. So while I was working at my last position and John was working at his last position, we both had W-2s, which allow somebody to more easily qualify for financing than when you own your own business and are on 1099. So we decided to, because we knew that eventually we were going to be transitioning to our own show and our own, not show, but like our own journey. This is the show. This is our life show. And because we knew that we were going to be transitioning in that direction, we wanted to utilize our W-2. So we purchased our very first investment property in 2013, and we tested the waters. We bought in Tennessee.
So it was, I don't remember the exact, but all the houses we bought were under $100,000, mm-hmm. And they all rented for around $1,000 per month, give or take. And just a real quick caveat right there, they kind of fall under the 1% rule, which if you're trying to calculate a rental, a very, obviously there's a lot that you want to take into account, but if you want to just do like a really quick like napkin calculation, the 1% rule is a good one to go by. And basically what that says is a property should rent, its monthly rent should be essentially 1% of the purchase price. And that's a pretty good indicator that could make you money. So for instance, on a $100,000 house, as long as you're renting it for $1,000 a month or more, there's a pretty good chance that could work out well for you. Now, you obviously want to take into account taxes and maintenance and all that. But like I said, for quick calculations, it can work pretty well.
Yeah, and just using San Diego as an example, a $500,000 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you're not going to be able to rent that for $5,000 a month. So it doesn't necessarily, the 1% rule doesn't apply. My Buffalo house, 1% rule totally applied. So here we had these properties in Tennessee and we decided to take the leap. We purchased the first one in August of 2013. And we waited almost a full year before even considering another purchase. We wanted to make sure that we were cash flowing, that the company, that the turnkey company we purchased it from had been accurate in their calculations. So we wanted to make sure we were cash flowing. It was a solid investment. We wanted to test out the property manager, make sure that they were on point, really taking care of the property for us, doing an awesome job. And we wanted to make sure that we were enjoying the experience and that area. We had invested in the Memphis area and we wanted to make sure that the property seemed solid. So we tested the waters for like 10 months.
Mm-hmm. And then, we saw what we wanted to see and what we were hoping to see, and all the numbers were hitting it. So we were like, hey, it's working. Might as well just go for it. So
absolutely.
Then we bought 3 more.
Yeah, we bought 3 more in a matter of 2 months.
Yeah, something interesting is we have never been to Tennessee.
Yeah, John and I have literally never walked on Tennessee soil.
Never seen our houses. They just sit out there and we get a check every month and it works for us. And, it's not all gravy. We have had some vacancies. We did have one get broken into at one point. But those are things, we just work through. And overall, it's been a very positive experience. And it's something that we plan to continue growing our portfolio and, using out-of-area investments. I would like to, I'm from Rochester and we both went to Buffalo. Her family's from Jersey. I would love to get properties set up in those areas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think looking back too, the only thing that we would probably change at this point in hindsight is we wish that we had kept the Buffalo house. Mm-hmm. Instead of selling it all together, knowing what we know now, we probably would have refinanced, taken all the money out of that property, moved forward in purchasing the others, and we would have had 5 passive income properties now instead of 4. But you live and you learn, and the passive income properties, I'm actually going to show you when we finish this video the extent of what we've seen of them. I'm going to show you the plaques that we have showing the properties. But it's been a really awesome experience for us. And what I want to encourage, what this video's intention was to encourage you guys, if you're feeling like, oh my God, like I'm never going to achieve home ownership. Mm-hmm. I've been saving my down payment forever here in San Diego. It's just not happening for me. Well, guess what? San Diego is a really tough market to get into. Maybe it's not the right move for you right now, but maybe investing in real estate is. And maybe it looks like investing somewhere else. We have a friend who invests in Michigan because that's where her family is from. We have another one who invests in Kansas City because she's got a great network there and they keep an eye on her property and she knows the property managers. So whatever fits for you. We also have clients who buy in Florida because that's where they want to one day end up.
Yeah, one of my good friends from high school, he lives in the San Francisco area, which notoriously one of the most expensive
Similar
in the
to
country.
San Diego.
And he wasn't ready to buy there, but he wanted to get into real estate investing and ended up buying a place, out of state. And we worked closely with him and walked him through the whole thing. And as far as I know, it's working well for him. But it's just to encourage you this video is to encourage you to think outside the box. Don't get caught up on I'll never be able to afford San Diego or I'll never be able to afford a home. There are so many different creative things you can do with real estate, and there's so much opportunity available to you. You just have to sometimes, take the blinders off. Sometimes we get so focused on I want a house in this area, that, and then, we're not open to the different options that are really available to us.
Yeah, because quite literally, we, like I said, had the option to buy a small single-family house here in San Diego.
Barely afford.
Barely afford, and it would have been tiny. We're talking probably about the size of our house right now or smaller, and that property would have made us no money. We would have had to pay money into that mortgage, right, starting 3 or 4 years ago. And instead, we purchased 4 investment properties, which cash flow, give or take, about $300 a month each. So about $1,200 a month. So that cash flow, actually, when we decided to embark on our own and start our own business, that cash flow actually helped to pay for our rent. So instead of paying into a mortgage, we were actually receiving $1,200 using that same money that we could have put into a down payment in a single family home, but instead we bought the 4 investments, and we were using that money to pay for our rent. And that really follows the Rich Dad Poor Dad model. For those of you who are interested in kind of learning a little bit more, that's a great book.
Yeah. And the one, I know we touched on it earlier, but the most important part, if you do get into out-of-state investing, is a great property manager. I can't stress that enough.
Because honestly, if you don't have that, and it's similar to where I tell clients you don't want to chintz on a home inspector. You do not want to chintz on a property manager. If you're paying your property manager, let's say 8%, and you're feeling like you're getting a really good deal because you're saving 2% under industry standard, and you're like, woohoo, and you go to visit your property in 5 years and realize your property manager hasn't been there in the last 5 years, you're not saving yourself any money. A 10 to 12% property manager is typically well worth it because they are going to relentlessly make sure that your property is in tip-top shape, and they're going to end up saving you tens of thousands of dollars in the long run if they are noticing things are wrong. It's not uncommon for us to have bills of $100, $200 a month sometimes for our properties, but I know and I'm confident that they're fixing small things now that are preventing major things later. So that's it for today, but I do want to, before we sign off, I'm going to show them the plaques. So the property manager and the turnkey company that we used actually sends us plaques. I think it's, because we haven't been to Tennessee, and they support us in that way to show us what our properties look like, and it's super cool. I'm going to turn this around. We have them hanging on our office wall. So this is the extent of what we've seen of our properties, you guys. We used a company called Memphis Invest, and they actually partner in the turnkey renovation process, meaning that the properties are all turnkey, move-in ready when the tenant, when you purchase them, so that they can be occupied by tenants right away. And then they actually have a sister company that's a property manager that does an awesome job managing properties. So it's extremely passive, very easy, and these are the reminder every day of what we're working towards and continuing to work for, because we hope to one day have like 100 of those. I kind of want to keep the tradition and just make them for myself. Make my own plaques. Maybe when we build out the units on this property, we'll make some plaques. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, love you, and hope you're having an awesome Wednesday. Hump day. Middle of the week. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.